How the Mediterranean Sea vanished and came back. A strange fossil discovery. In 2011, a team of paleontologists working on the Spanish island of Menorca made an extraordinary discovery, one that would challenge everything we thought we knew about rabbits. Beneath layers of ancient earth, they unearthed the fossilized remains of a colossal rabbit, unlike any species alive today. This was no ordinary bunny. It was 6 times heavier than the common cottontail, with short, sturdy hind limbs, an unusually stiff spine, and clawed feet instead of the soft paws we associate with modern rabbits. This peculiar creature, later named Neuralagus rex, meaning the rabbit king of Menorca, wasn't just big, it was biologically unique. Unlike the swift-hopping rabbits we see today, this one likely lumbered across the land, its stiff body unsuited for agility. It was a ruler in its own right, dominating its isolated island home millions of years ago during the Pliocene epoch. But one question loomed large. How did such an enormous rabbit end up on this Mediterranean island? The answer lies in one of nature's most fascinating evolutionary phenomena: insular gigantism. When small animals become stranded on islands with few predators, they often grow to massive sizes over generations. It's the same reason some ancient islands hosted giant tortoises, oversized rodents, and miniature elephants. Yet the mystery deepened. How did the ancestor of Neuralagus rex arrive on Menorca in the first place? The truth is buried in an even greater mystery, one that involves the disappearance of an entire sea. To uncover the origins of this giant rabbit, we must first journey back in time to one of the most extraordinary geological events in Earth's history: the Messinian Salinity Crisis. Have you ever seen the world change right before your eyes? The Mediterranean once disappeared. Yes, an entire sea. And today we're diving into this incredible story together. If you love learning something new every day, go ahead and tap the like button. It helps more curious minds find this video. The mystery of the Mediterranean salt giant. To uncover the origins of Neuralagus rex, we must venture deeper, beyond the fossilized bones of a giant rabbit and into the very foundations of the Mediterranean itself. Beneath the seafloor, hidden beneath layers of sediment, lies something even more astonishing: an enormous salt deposit, so vast that scientists call it the Mediterranean salt giant. Unlike the usual layers of mud and sand found in ocean basins, this deposit is composed almost entirely of crystallized salt, stretching for miles and reaching thicknesses of over 2 miles in some places. It's a silent but undeniable clue, pointing to a mind-boggling conclusion. At some point in Earth's history, the entire Mediterranean Sea must have dried up. But how could an entire sea, a body of water nearly 1 million square miles in size, simply vanish? What force could have caused such an extraordinary transformation? Today, the Mediterranean is sustained by the constant flow of ocean water from the Atlantic, pouring through the Strait of Gibraltar like a lifeline. While rivers and rainfall add some fresh water, they are not nearly enough to compensate for the sea's intense evaporation rates. Without the Atlantic supply, the Mediterranean would be doomed to disappear. So what if, in the distant past, that lifeline was cut off? What if the flow of water from the Atlantic stopped entirely, leaving the sea to evaporate under the relentless sun? This question sparked a scientific mystery that took over 1,000 studies and decades of research to solve. The answer? A dramatic geological event known as the Messinian Salinity Crisis, MSC. a crisis that transformed the Mediterranean into a barren wasteland. The three main hypotheses about the MSC. The discovery of the Mediterranean salt giant left scientists with a profound mystery. If the Mediterranean had once dried up, how did it happen? What could have turned a thriving sea into an arid, lifeless basin? For decades, researchers debated this question, proposing three major hypotheses to explain the Messinian Salinity Crisis, MSC. Each idea painted a different picture of an ancient catastrophe, but only one would withstand the test of time. The first hypothesis pointed to a global ice age. If vast amounts of seawater had frozen into glaciers, ocean levels would have dropped worldwide, limiting the flow of water from the Atlantic into the Mediterranean. It was an elegant theory until scientists analyzed global climate data. Their findings shattered this idea. There was no major cooling event significant enough to cause the Mediterranean to dry up. The Ice Age theory had to be discarded. The second hypothesis suggested that tectonic forces slowly sealed off the Strait of Gibraltar. Over millions of years, the land beneath the strait could have risen, blocking Atlantic waters from reaching the Mediterranean. Without its main water source, the sea would have evaporated, leaving behind layers of salt. This explanation seemed more plausible, but it wasn't the whole story. The final and most widely accepted hypothesis proposed a combination of tectonic activity and climate fluctuations. Not only did the land under the strait rise over time, but climate cycles also played a role. Shifts in Earth's orbit and solar energy levels caused fluctuations in sea levels, creating periods of extreme dryness. This theory finally made sense of the evidence. The MSC wasn't a single event. It was a series of cycles, each one draining more water from the Mediterranean until little remained but salt and dust. And its impact would change the course of evolution forever. Fascinating, isn't it? The Earth has changed in ways we can hardly imagine, and there's still so much more to uncover. If you're enjoying this journey through time, take a second to hit subscribe. That way, you'll never miss another incredible story like this one. The effects of the MSC. The Messinian Salinity Crisis was not just a geological event. It was an apocalypse for life in the Mediterranean. As the sea evaporated, its once vibrant waters transformed into a vast, desolate landscape. Where fish had once swum in crystal-clear currents, now lay an endless expanse of salt flats and arid plains. The Mediterranean's water level dropped by hundreds of feet, exposing the seafloor and creating an environment too extreme for most marine life to endure. The remaining water became so salty that it was uninhabitable. Scientists have found little evidence of burrowing creatures in the sediments from this period, suggesting that the seafloor was nearly lifeless. But while the sea was dying, the land was changing in ways that shaped the future of life in the region. With water levels at an all-time low, new land bridges emerged, connecting Europe, Africa, and various Mediterranean islands. This was a rare golden opportunity for land animals. Giant mammals like elephants and hippos migrated across these temporary pathways, reaching islands they otherwise could never have accessed. But when the water returned, these animals became stranded, cut off from the mainland. Over generations, they adapted in fascinating ways. Some grew smaller, evolving into miniature elephants, while others, like Neurologus rex, grew larger than ever before. The MSC was a paradox, a disaster that wiped out entire ecosystems, yet also set the stage for new evolutionary wonders. It was proof that even in the face of catastrophe, life finds a way, adapting, surviving, and leaving behind traces for us to uncover millions of years later. The end of the MSC, the Zanclean Flood. For hundreds of thousands of years, the Mediterranean remained a barren, salt-covered wasteland. The Messinian Salinity Crisis had reshaped the region, turning a once thriving sea into a place of silence and desolation. But as with all things in nature, change was inevitable. Then, around 5.3 million years ago, the world shifted once again. The tectonic forces that had once cut off the Mediterranean from the Atlantic began to reverse. The land beneath the Strait of Gibraltar started to sink, and erosion further weakened the barrier that had kept the waters at bay. And then it happened. A surge of water, unstoppable and immense, rushed through the strait, cascading into the empty basin like a slow-motion tidal wave. Scientists once believed this event unfolded as a colossal waterfall, pouring down with unimaginable force. But newer evidence suggests it was more like an immense river, flowing at an astonishing pace. It didn't take centuries or even decades. The Mediterranean refilled in a flash, in just about 2 years. The transformation was so rapid that the rising waters would have carved massive channels into the dry sea floor, reshaping the coastline in ways we can still see today. With the return of the sea, the land bridges disappeared, isolating the creatures that had once roamed freely. The dwarf elephants, giant rabbits, and other island oddities would continue to evolve in their secluded worlds, relics of a time when the Mediterranean had vanished. The Zanclean Flood was not just the end of the crisis. It was the beginning of the Mediterranean as we know it today. And yet, the forces that shaped it are still at work. The Earth's crust continues to shift ever so slowly. Could it happen again? Science tells us that nothing is permanent, not even the seas themselves. Conclusion. The story of the Messinian Salinity Crisis is one of destruction and renewal, isolation and transformation. It is a reminder that even the most unshakable features of our planet, the vast seas, the towering mountains, the very landscapes we take for granted, are not as permanent as they seem. For over 600,000 years, the Mediterranean was a place of extremes, a lifeless desert where salt ruled. But nature is never stagnant. The return of the waters in the Zanclean Flood washed away the scars of the past, reviving the Mediterranean and shaping the world as we know it today. Yet traces of that lost world remain. Hidden beneath the waves, buried in layers of sediment, lie the fossilized remains of creatures that walked across an ocean floor, dwarf elephants, giant rabbits, and the echoes of a time when the sea itself had disappeared. The MSC is more than just an ancient mystery. It serves as a powerful lesson about Earth's ever-changing nature. The same tectonic forces that once closed the Strait of Gibraltar are still at work today. Climate patterns continue to shift. While it seems unimaginable, the right combination of events could one day trigger another transformation. The past has already proven one undeniable truth. Nothing lasts forever, not even the oceans. But within every upheaval, life finds a way to adapt, evolve, and thrive. And just like the Mediterranean itself, we too must learn to embrace change, knowing that the world we stand on is never as constant as it appears. Life lessons from a vanishing sea. The story of the Messinian Salinity Crisis is more than just an ancient mystery. It's a powerful reminder of change, resilience, and adaptation. Just as the Mediterranean once vanished and then returned, our own lives are filled with cycles of loss and renewal. Think about the changes you've seen in your lifetime: technological shifts, new generations, the ups and downs of personal experiences. Some changes were slow, like the rising land beneath the Strait of Gibraltar, barely noticeable at first. Others, like the Zanclean Flood, came rushing in all at once, transforming everything in a blink. Life works the same way. Some challenges we see coming, while others take us by surprise. But in both cases, we adapt, grow, and move forward. Just like the creatures that migrated when the Mediterranean dried up, only to be stranded when the waters returned, we too must learn to navigate the unexpected. Sometimes what seems like a setback is really an opportunity. Sometimes being forced to adapt makes us stronger, wiser, and more capable than we ever imagined. And most importantly, the past reminds us that nothing is permanent, not struggles, not hardships, and not even the seemingly unshakable things in life. If an entire sea can disappear and come back, so can we. No matter where you are in life, you are still learning, still evolving, still capable of embracing change. So, the next time life surprises you, remember the Mediterranean. The Earth has always been changing, and so have we. It's never too late to adapt, to grow, and to embrace the next chapter. Wow, what a journey! Who knew the Mediterranean Sea had such a wild past? If you made it this far, you're officially part of our curious community. Drop a comment with 111 so I know you're here, and don't forget to subscribe. It's free, it's easy, and it means we'll keep exploring the wonders of history together. See you in the next one.